Well, hello and welcome back to the Love Machine podcast. Do you ever find yourself thinking, why does dating suck? You are definitely not alone. In fact, over 60% of singles report feeling burnt out by dating apps, exhausted by the endless swiping and messaging, only to end up with dates that lead absolutely nowhere. But what if there's a better way? In this episode of the Love Machine Dating Podcast, I, James Preece, am joined by the fantastic Kelly Bonanno, an experienced life and dating coach, matchmaker, and wellness educator. Passionate about helping people view their worth, look at dating from a fresh perspective, and attract the meaningful relationship they truly desire. And together, we're going to be exploring why dating has become such a frustrating experience for so many. And more importantly, how you can shift your mindset, your approach, and your energy to make it fun and rewarding again. Say goodbye to being completely undateable and hello to finding real meaningful connections. We're going to turn your dating life around once and for all. Welcome, Kelly. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so pleased to have you on here. We're going to be collaborating on lots of different new things moving forwards, and you'll be explaining that later on in the podcast, I hope. But first of all, can you just explain to everyone who you are and what you do on a daily basis, please?
So yes, I am Kelly Bonanno, and like you said, I am a life and dating coach and matchmaker. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yes, it's very fun. I have endless stories, funny stories, and it's I love what I do. It's very rewarding and exciting because, as you know, dating coaching and matchmaking, it's very much a personal growth experience.
Yeah.
And to help people get from being kind of stuck, limiting beliefs, the blocks and barriers that are holding them back that they might not, most of the time are not even aware of, and opening them up and having them just having a better experience with themselves. Because really, I always say the most important relationship you're going to have is with yourself, and that
Yeah.
we have to get in place first. Then the dating opens up, and it's really rewarding. I mean, I also have a wellness background, so I do wellness workshops for businesses, and so I have that component. So clients, come to me and maybe they've let themselves go a little bit in a marriage or what have you, and they want to lose a little weight or, you know, eat cleaner or just clean up, reduce their toxic load. We do that too, because that can make you look better. And when you look better, you feel better. When you feel better, you look better, and you put your best self out there on the dating scene, because let's face it, it is a bit competitive.
It really is. So you do everything. You help everyone from all different angles, which is amazing.
Very
Yeah.
holistic. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. Because dating, of course, as the nature of the podcast, dating absolutely sucks for many people. And it shouldn't do, but it does. So why do you think this is? Why are people so frustrated now?
Oh, so many reasons. Yeah, it's
Where should
it's
we
sad.
begin?
I don't know, where do we begin?
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons. I think one of the reasons is because it's like you'd think it would be better because there's so much more. We can meet people in real life, and then we have all these apps. There's so much more opportunity.
Mm.
But with more opportunity comes, kind of decision fatigue, too many choices, and
Yeah.
too many bad choices. So there's these kind of, and there's also those bad apples. There's always those bad apples and so you get on the apps and you get these strange people or rude people or what have you, and that sort of makes you think that's everything. But as far as let's just take the apps for a moment, why they really are. So many people on there are great. You can find great people. People are doing it all the time. There's a lot of married people out there that met on the apps, but you've got to weed through the not so great. There are people on there that are not even real. There are out to scam. They are maybe real people, but they're in a lonely marriage or relationship and just wanting attention. There are, there's a myriad of people that are not on there for, I think that what the statistics is maybe 60% of people are actually viable. So you got to weed through. So that makes it difficult. But the other thing is to be a little more realistic, because let's say you and I were just chatting over coffee at the mall, walking around a big park, Disneyland, wherever you go. How many people are we going to actually, if we were like, let's say, okay, you're not single, but now I am. And we're going to be, I was going to be your wing woman. You're going to be my wingman.
Yeah.
Okay. Check her out. Check her out. How many people would you actually be like, yeah, I'd like to talk to her? How many people would I actually be like, oh, he's cute? Probably very few. So the apps are just mirroring sort of real life. So,
Yeah.
there might not be a ton of people. And then of the people who are viable, you've got to weed it down to somebody who lines up with your values and your must-haves and your deal breakers and your attraction. And then you got to get off the apps. And it's part of the reason it sucks is it is basically a job. I mean, it does take time, you know.
Yeah. It's very draining for many people to do that, to go
Yes.
through, and they serve a purpose. Yeah, they absolutely can work, but I think one of the reasons they're so frustrating is people don't write enough information in their profiles to tell if someone's a good match or not. You're judging them on a filtered picture.
Right, right. And so it's like a shot in the dark. It's like, well, I guess. And then you kind of quote unquote waste time getting to know things that just don't are not going to go anywhere because of
Yeah.
what have you. Yeah. And and then in real life, it's harder, I think, because just the overall climate of the world, we're in a dark space right now. And here in America, as we are recording this, we're coming up on the election, which is polarizing everyone in this country from one side to the other. And just the world in general, people are negative. And then when we have social media, people are just cowardly and mean. And it's just ugly things are happening in the world. And so it colors our dating world. And in real life, men are more afraid than ever to approach women. And women are frustrated by that. And women don't want to approach, but I say approach. You can approach in a very nice, normal way. Flirting doesn't have to be overtly sexual at all. It shouldn't be actually initially.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. People have lost the ability to go and approach each other. And
Yeah.
women often say, well, I'm waiting for a man to make the first move. Even on the dating apps, I had a client yesterday ask me, why does she always have to make the first move? Because men aren't responsive. She'll like people and wink at them on the apps. And I said, well, why should the men? Why should the men have to respond to you? All you've done is wink at them. You've got to make an effort. But they go through the same cycles, repeating the same mistakes over and
Yeah.
over. But I think if people approach each other in life more, the world would be a much happier place overall. There's more
Yes. It
conversations going on.
would. Absolutely. And also don't even look at it as maybe a potential date. Let's just be nicer to each other.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm kind of a natural flirt and very like I'm a people person, so I like to talk to, I don't it isn't attraction or no attraction. I enjoy talking to all kinds of people and
yeah.
genders and what have you. So just do more of that. And then maybe some of those people will be somebody that you guys have a mutual attraction to.
But I think something else that you touched upon there, one of the reasons that dating sucks, is people are very negative. They're assuming they're going to be rejected if they approach people.
Yes.
Negativity, you mentioned, is such an awful thing because dating is supposed to be fun. One of my many catchphrases. If you're not fun, you're doing it wrong. Do you think rejection is a massive issue people have now more than ever?
Definitely. Absolutely. Because men are kind of used to it. Like it's horrible. You guys are, just that's sort of the way it has been for men in history. But
Yeah,
now we are because we're on the apps, and if somebody doesn't like us back, or even it feels like a rejection if you're chatting and then you all of a sudden they just stop chatting with you. These little micro rejections, which they really aren't. It's just the way it is. Nobody's really getting rejected, but it feels like it. And
yeah,
but you touched on something very important. It's it's how we think about things. If you think dating is going to suck, if you think all guys are players and just want out for this, that, or the other, and all women are emotionally unavailable, then that's what you're going to find
yeah.
because that's what your brain is going to start looking for. And we kind of get what we expect.
Yeah,
And
it's self-fulfilling prophecy, like you said.
it
If
is,
you
it is.
if you're always looking for the red flags, you won't spot the green flags.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
what happens.
And that's not to say to not be a bit detached. It's okay to be detached and not because you don't want to be desperation, clinging on to the outcome
Yeah,
and saying, oh, that guy. But just being detached, expecting the best and with a detached, I always tell my clients, and I try to follow my own advice, is when you go out on a date, just expect to have a nice conversation at least. And if you're
yeah,
pleasantly surprised and you both have an attraction and it leads to a second date and beyond, great. But at the very least, hopefully you've met a nice person who might just become a friend or a colleague or, okay, a really funny story if it's awful. I mean,
that's
or
true.
you might set him up with a friend of yours.
It's about opportunities. That's what it is.
Yes.
You have to. People aren't creating enough opportunities for themselves.
Right.
They're self-sabotaging. That's probably my word of the last couple of years. They are
So
self-sabotaging
true.
all the
So
time.
true.
Yeah, and they're assuming that no one's going to be interested. They're assuming there's no good men, no good women, and they talk themselves into it. So I think mindset is a very important part of this, and
100%. Yes.
it is. It's a struggle for many
Mindset
people.
with action. because, there are
Yeah.
people that are, in anything in life, you've got to couple that with action.
Yeah. You have to reframe all this for the mindset to make it work.
It's so
But
true.
it is. And another thing I see a lot of people that are dating and they absolutely hate it, they're just doing dating wrong when they're going out on these dates. And I like your opinion on I've asked many people this question on the podcast actually. So I'm going to say what another podcaster always says. There's no right or wrong answer to this. But to me there is, but this is everyone's opinion is valid and different parts of the world may give different answers. I think people have lost the ability to create memories on dates and to be romantic and to do things that are going to set the scene and think, oh, that's really exciting. I can't wait to see them again. And I've actually heard other dating coaches suggest that it's a really good idea on a first date to go for a walk or to go for a coffee on a first date. And I have my beliefs on this, well, that's terrible, but I'd like to hear your opinion. Do you think that going for a walk is a good idea on a first date?
Oh gosh, I think walks are great because you're moving your body, it's less intense. You're not staring at each other over a table or what have you. Um, it can be okay, but I think for me, I'd rather do that on a second date. Maybe I think
Yeah,
what we recommend. So I'm a matchmaker for 3-day rule. We recommend drinks on the first date.
yeah,
I I think a couple reasons I think dinner is a bad idea. First of all, it gets expensive for guys. And they're often spending money on dinner for people they really don't want to go out with again or don't want to go out with them again. And we'll just put this in a different category. There are women out there that are literally, what are they called? They're dating to get free dinners. That's awful. They're not really
yeah,
dating for intentional. But and also you don't want to spend too much time because if you really are not vibing, why be at dinner forever? Just a quick drink and get out of there. And also, if you are vibing, then leave them wanting more. Create a little, oh, I want to see that person again. So the shorter is better. And some people don't drink. It does not have to be an alcoholic drink. I personally think, and this is sort of the philosophy of the matchmaking company and 3-day rule, is coffee's not sexy. Like,
yeah,
we want to be, we're dating to lead to hopefully romantic connection. And I just don't, not that plenty of people have coffee and then, they're into a romantic thing. It can be, but I don't think it's the best. And it's not about, well, he better spend more money on me. I don't like that attitude at all. And the same thing with the walk. I mean, you could grab coffee and then walk, I guess, but I don't know. I just think, but a walk on the first date is not the worst thing, but I think it's better for a second date.
yeah. We're very aligned then because I give all the same advice to my clients. And I
Oh,
just said,
great.
absolutely. I think go for a drink on a first date. It's relaxed. It can be relatively short date. It's a taster to see if you want to get to know them again. Dinner can be
Exactly.
too intense. The
Yes.
reason I hate going for walks is because you can't look them in the eyes. There's no eye contact. You can't really
Yeah.
flirt. You're looking around avoiding puddles and avoiding stones and dogs on the floor when you're walking forwards, avoiding
Yeah.
traffic. And coffee, everyone drinks coffee. You're drinking coffee now or tea now, aren't you? So it's my
I am.
example. People do it all the time, and there's nothing special or romantic about
Right.
it. Yeah,
Exactly. That's such a
yeah,
good point.
mm,
We're not going out to happy hour every single night. We're drinking our coffee every single. It's a little
yeah,
bit special, and also gives you an opportunity to maybe try a new place, and it think, okay, what place did that person like to go? It gives you a little insight to them, where they suggest.
yeah. Exactly. It makes it more the event of the day. If it's coffee
Yes.
or a
Yeah.
walk, it tends to be during the day. I think
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Second date, go for a walk by all means. You know each other. You've got that connection. You're excited. Go
Right.
for a coffee if you want on the second date. That's all you can do. But I think the first date should be in the evening. So it's the highlight of your day. You can get dressed up for it. You can be excited for it all day long, and then the butterflies will start to go. If you're just fitting somebody in during a lunch break, then that's not the best idea. And
So true. You're
yeah,
setting it up for mundane. It just puts yeah, not excitement. I
yeah,
completely agree. And
yeah,
look, the truth is, whether if you go on a walk, you go for coffee, if you both are really hitting it off, it will work. It's not
yeah,
like, well, yeah, but it's true. Let's set this up the best way possible. And like you said, the first date is, I mean, you're often going to meet somebody that you've never met in person. Okay, great. If you've met in person and you hit on each other, then you've at least met. But if you're on the apps or even from a matchmaker, you've never actually been in person. So it's more of, what the young kids are saying, like the vibe check. Like, let's just observe. Is it really even a date? Some people don't even call the first date a date so much.
No, they don't. And the
because
younger generation are doing that. They're going out just for the coffees and going out for milkshakes, but then they don't have the same issues that everyone else has
right.
because they're socializing anyway and meeting people at that age group,
Yeah.
and it's more normal. But I think as you get older, one of the reasons dating sucks, it becomes something that we forget to do. Particularly if you've
Yeah.
been okay. You said you're dating again, so you must have been married or in a relationship before. But maybe some people in that situation, maybe they've been widowed. They are dating again for the first time, and all the rules have changed. What happens now? Maybe the way that they see themselves is still 20, 30 years ago, and they're expecting things to be the same. They're not. And I think the world evolves all the time. The way that we date has changed. So people just aren't aware. They're not educated enough, are they?
Oh, it's so true. And it has changed. Yeah. So I mean, I've been through it all. I dated plenty before I was a little boy crazy, not gonna lie, before I was married. And I had a great marriage for a long time. We have two incredible boys. It didn't last, but I always say divorce is not a failure. It's like it's just a reality, and we're amicable. Um, and so, and then I've been dating, and that was before the apps, of course. And then, oh, all of a sudden dating off the apps. So there's a lot of things that haven't changed, but there's a lot that have, absolutely. And you have to educate yourself. That's why podcasts like this and
Yeah.
people like us, like you do have to educate yourself and do it quote unquote right if you want to have success. And there are nuances, and some things have not changed, but a lot has. And you got to kind of move with the times. And so it's really interesting how the evolution of it. And then I was in a great post-divorce relationship that, wasn't really my guy, but now I'm, and then I'm back on the dating scene. And so it's like I'm in the trenches with people, and but it's interesting, and it's fun. But yeah, it's frustrating. I've experienced all of the things that all of your listeners are sitting there thinking, what about this? What about that?
Yeah. I've been there a long time ago. I've been there. I'm very fortunate to be happily married. Touch wood. By the end of
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
podcast, we'll see where this comes out. So I'm in joking. I realised something actually. Talking about dating sucks. I realised how loud my voice is. And for those that are listening, probably very much aware of that. My wife was in the kitchen the other day recording something for herself, and she played it back to me, and there was me talking very loudly. You can hear all my podcasts when I'm and all my coaching clients on there. So there, that's something I've learned myself. I think we're all working on ourselves, trying to improve as we go forward. And there's a reason why I'm saying this. It's because the next thing I think with dating sucks. People aren't self-aware. They're not
Oh,
self-confident, and they've got no self-worth because our confidence has been knocked so much. So that's one of the reasons things don't work out. Do you have any thoughts on that?
oh my gosh. Yes, I do. I you must be working on yourselves. We are a work in progress, and you must look at every relationship as a lesson. And what did we learn? What did I do?
Mm,
What did they do? What did I learn? What was good? What was not so good? What can I change? It's that, that's one of the reasons. That's what I did with my marriage. I thought I don't want to come out of this marriage repeating patterns, and like what I would look in the mirror and say, what did I do to contribute to this? What could I have done better and differently? Um, and and grow from there, and really paying attention to the triggers, and because we all have childhood wounds. And I'm a big proponent of therapy. I mean, even if you're completely, we're just all a work in progress, and you want to be working on yourselves and being open and taking accountability, because that you cannot have a relationship with someone who just thinks they're got it all together and everything fine, and oh,
yeah.
you got to work on yourself, but I don't work on mine. And that was part of the problem with my last relationship. Is you can't have one person being trying to be their best self. You both have to, and you have to be coming together to do that.
Yeah, you do. But you can grow apart sometimes in that situation because you are both
Yes.
growing in different directions. I
Or
think it's,
outgrow,
yeah, outgrow. Yeah,
yeah, outgrow
yeah,
somebody.
you can. But I think it's really important that everyone continues to work on themselves. But anyone listening to
Absolutely.
this will be, because that's the sort of nature people are. Anyone listening to these wonderful podcasts is going to be
Yeah, if
open
you're
minded.
listening to this podcast, you are a little bit ahead of the game right there. It's
You are.
true.
You've got the advantage already. Anyone listening out
Yeah.
there, and feel free to reach out to us and tell us how you're ahead of the game and what's been going on.
Yes.
We'd love to hear about that because dating, unfortunately, does suck for many people, and this is another reason why I think it sucks. People do one thing, the minimum effort. They will go on a dating app and make no effort, and they will stick on that dating app, and then they'll delete it and start again, go around the cycle. They won't do anything else. They'll stick to one thing. For dating not to suck, You've got to change what's not working and then mix things up a little bit, haven't you?
Yes, exactly. Take a whole holistic approach.
Yeah.
And that's why, we always say, like people who come to us for matchmaking,
Mm.
I would stay, be on the apps too. However you
Yeah.
meet your person. If I introduce you to them, that's great. But if you meet them on Bumble, then I'm happy for you too. Or you meet them at wherever you or going to see, get your coffee in the day. That's fine too. It's being on the apps, it's being in real life. And in real life, don't have your phone, be buried in your phone. Be
Yeah.
receptive. Look around. You got to pay attention to who might be checking you out and who you want to check out and maybe talk to.
Yeah.
And yes, and also tell people that you're looking.
Yeah.
Because somebody might know somebody. Oh, that guy I work with in accounting, he's cute and single. I might, you get people's wheels turning if you just let people know I'm single and ready to meet somebody.
You definitely should. You should do all you can. You should tell your
All
friends
the
to go and
avenues.
play
Absolutely.
matchmakers. You should go to the dating events, go out there, talk to real people, and have real
Yes.
communications.
And yeah, the matchmaking, great being a client, but get in our free pool. And there's lots of free pools. Lots of matchmakers have a free pool
Yeah.
that you can, and that's how we find dates for our clients.
Mhm.
So you can be in the free pool and end up in a wonderful relationship that leads to marriage and not even be a paying client.
Yeah, that's really true. Go out there. Most companies have a passive database, don't they? And you can apply for.
Absolutely.
And
And the nice
then,
thing
yeah,
with matchmaking is it's a vetted thing. Like I am interviewing the potential matches to make sure that at
yeah,
least everything lines up enough to introduce. And if it doesn't, then it's not a match. I mean, we matchmakers can find things out that you might not find out several dates in or further.
that's true. Everyone's vetted. That's the advantage of matchmaking, isn't it?
Yes, to some degree, you can only, I mean, you can only go so far, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little safer way to go.
it is. Yeah, I work with many different matchmakers all over the world, and it's a very beneficial thing. It can be expensive, but as you mentioned, there's passive database. You can get on there if that's not in your budget right now, and you might have a little dip in the water, and then you might think, "Do you know what, I'm going to expand this and I'm going to upgrade and give it a go." That's what it is, and trying new things out. But it comes again, people find that dating sucks because they are always going through the frustration of just being bored by this and doing it all wrong. So I think doing something different and mixing things up a little bit is the secret to all this. That's how
Yeah,
dating stops sucking. And take the
right.
pressure off yourself. As you mentioned earlier, just go and talk to people and go on a date, have a conversation. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? Go and have a nice conversation and learn new things. But what other advice do you have for people who want to fix their love lives and want to make this work rather than sucking so much?
Well, another really important aspect is how is your life? Your life should, you don't want to look at your life as it sucks. And
Yeah.
you got to have that self-love and loving your life. Make your life, enjoy your life. Get out there, be with your friends, make plans with your friends, your family, you know, and have those hobbies and the self-care. Have a
Yeah.
fulfilling life that you enjoy. And then you're not placing so much. It really does. It mirror your life and your dating life are going to mirror each other.
Mm.
So if your life is happy and fulfilled, I mean, look, we can't love everything about our lives, but most things, then your dating life is more likely to be that way. And you're not so focused on dating. Like I have to get out there and find the one because
Mm.
hey, I'm going out with the girls and I'm going out with whoever and I'm doing this and I'm going hike on my out with my hiking group or what and oh, I'm doing some painting and hopefully you have a career you love. Those things you're so fulfilled that dating can complement it. Now
Yeah.
that women are especially I have this is a cautionary little PSA for women. Also make room in your life because men tend to be a little bit better at this. You got to make time for dating because you also have to make time for a relationship. And also don't get too happy with, well, I don't need someone and I don't want someone. You still have to be open to dating because if you're closed off, then that's going to put the kibosh on that too.
It is. And this leads on to something else as well. I think people think the dating sucks and they hate it. Is because they think they're embarrassed to be single. They think everyone around them's married or paired off and they're the last one
Ah,
standing and they're
good
never going to
point.
find somebody. And they absolutely hate it and they get embarrassed and they thought, I don't want to go to these events and the men are going to be really awful. It's all the lowest quality. I'm not going to join a matchmaker. They're desperate people. But the reality is, it's not like that.
Not at all.
Anyone that's willing to put themselves out there is someone that's worth knowing. So, do you have any advice on people that think that?
Well, the secret is a lot of those married people wish they were in your shoes because there's a lot of marriages that are
Yeah,
not happy and they are just staying for comfort and because
yeah,
they're too fearful to get out. And that's the
yeah.
truth.
That's
And
exactly it.
they've
Yeah.
been sexless for years and it's, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, look, not all marriages, but that is the truth. And
Mm.
so, and also, it's kind of the norm. Like, that's a limiting belief. That's the story people are telling. And this is what coaches like you and me can help them
Yeah.
eradicate that is it's normal. Like think about the apps. I mean, years ago, you'd hear people, "Oh, I would never do a dating app." Now it's the norm. Now it's almost like you're single and you're not on the apps. Come on.
Yeah.
It's the norm and it's perfectly fine to be single and it's it really it's changed. The landscape has changed. The attitude about it has changed. So if you're thinking, "Oh gosh, I'm embarrassed to be single," it's really it's not a taboo anymore at all. There's no
No.
such thing as like, "Oh, old maid," and like,
There's not. You're absolutely right. I think you've got a massive advantage if you're single because you have the
absolutely.
freedom and flexibility to do anything you want to do in your life. If you
Yes.
want to go on 100 dates that week, or go on a singles cruise, or go for the caravan for a weekend, do whatever you want to do. You can do that. You haven't got to ask someone's approval. So I think being single, embrace
Exactly.
it while you can, because if you meet somebody, then you'll have less time to spend doing the things that you really enjoy and less time to see your friends and your family. So make the most of it, because when you're with somebody, your life is spent with them, and you'll find this. You'll start to neglect other aspects of your life. So if you want to get fit,
So,
go to the gym now. Enjoy it. Yeah.
oh, absolutely. That is the most best advice
Mm.
possible. Because yeah, I mean, let's be really honest. Relationships bring up I mean, they're great. Yes, but there's also some negative, I mean, I just saw a reel, this guy saying, "Hey, single people don't even feel that bad because I was just at the coffee shop and I heard this, couple and the guy's going, 'That's your third cup of coffee.'" He's like, "If you're single, you're not putting up with somebody saying you've had too much coffee, you've had too much to drink, you've had too much to eat." It's too
Oh
funny.
goodness me! I cannot imagine my wife saying that to me. She eats more than I do, and she's really tiny. She's fit and healthy, but
Yeah.
that's I'm going to use
She's
that
got
little
good
statement to.
metabolism.
Yeah, she does. She's out kickboxing right now with my children. That's what she does.
Oh,
So
awesome.
she can't hear me with my loud voice. It's not maybe I'm not that loud overall, but this ties into my sort of. I'm winding towards the end of the podcast, but you mentioned you're a well-being expert as well. How do you think the well-being ties into you enjoy dating?
Wow. It so much, so very much,
Mm.
because it ties into your confidence. And
Yeah.
if you are feeling like, and so many people, and look, I don't think it should hold you back. Do not sit there and say, "I got to lose 20 pounds. I can't date until," no, no, no. Because, there's a lid for every pot. There's people out there that will still want you, but you do want to feel your best. And it's about how you feel and how you project yourself. And so and also just feeling good. The more you feel better, the more you're going to embrace life and love it. And
Yeah.
the truth is when we're not, eating our best and we're maybe drinking too much or not moving our bodies enough, we're just simply not going to feel as good. And
Yeah.
the one thing I hear from everybody, clients, potential matches, a lot of the must-haves are somebody who has a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you got to be running a marathon every week or in the gym 2 hours a day. No, but healthy lifestyle. So people want that and you'll just feel better. And there's a really big, strong tie, the mind-body connection. And mental health is so tied to physical health. A lot of psychologists are and therapists are recommending their clients work with wellness coaches because
Mm.
your mental health is so fortified by your physical health. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean about being perfect. And I'm like the no diet, no diets, no restriction, just basic, like an 80-20 rule. If you're doing healthy things most of the time, you're going to feel better, you're going to look better, and you can indulge in that margarita and nachos and not worry
Yeah.
about it. I was out with my ex-boyfriend a few months ago when we were dating, and we were with a young couple. They're in their 20s. And she said, we were at lunch and she is not overweight. If anything, she might be too thin. And she was like, "Oh, how many calories?" And I thought, I am so happy to be free of that. I never worry about that. Like my lifestyle is so on point and that that I can pretty much have what I want to eat because or drink because I know that it's not going to derail me because I've got everything in place. And it's about making habits, creating habits in place.
Yeah. You've linked very nicely into my next question, actually, by saying that. But before I ask you the question, I was just thinking, you're absolutely right. No one ever goes to a matchmaker or a dating coach and says, do you know what I really want? I want someone that chain smokes, drinks all day long, and sits on the sofa watching Netflix and hasn't got a job. No one says that. They always say, I want someone with a fit and active lifestyle. So absolutely on point there.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about habits, seeing as you've managed to help me with that question already. I do ask everyone this question on the podcast. Do you have any daily habits and routines that you try and stick to?
Absolutely, I do.
I
And I
thought you
really,
might do, right?
yeah, yeah, right. And they really help me a lot. So one thing I start my morning before I even get out of bed is I mean, I'm pretty spiritual. I start with my prayers and my gratitude and a little bit of meditation. And sometimes this is a very abbreviated thing because I don't have a lot of time, but when I have more time, I do it longer. I can do meditation on my own. I love Insight Timer. They have all kinds of great meditations and poetry and kind of things like that. And so that's how I start my day. Just don't, the best thing is not jumping on your phone, on your email. Like really, the way you start your day really sets the tone. And I love coffee. So I usually have a cup of coffee in the morning, and I not every single morning, it depends. I'll take a walk, either walk my dog, sometimes my son does, but I walk every single day. At some point I do take a walk.
Yeah.
And sometimes I exercise. Like I have 2 days, a few days a week that I do my strength training, got the elliptical, not crazy about it, just getting and really focusing on getting those 10,000 steps, because that really helps, just moving your body,
Yeah.
and then I've adopted, and then water. I'm constantly drinking water. That's a daily habit for sure. And just focusing on getting, the macros and the proteins and whatever, but still indulging. I mean, I love, Oatly ice cream. I'm gluten-free and dairy-free, but I love, or Trader Joe's meringue cookies. It's like, it's not about, or occasional glass of wine. But I've recently moved and I live near a lake. And so at night, I've been doing this like a walk every single night. And I used to do that before, but now I really look forward to, even if it's just a few minutes, and sometimes it's a lot longer. And so that's kind of how I wind down at night. And then, yeah, those are kind of my daily habits.
That's amazing. Some of those I do myself. I try and get my steps in every day. I drink the water and I try and do much as I can. I believe in the 80-20 rule. Very much agree with all the things you said there. But
And for, I think, men and women, but I certain days I do certain like beauty habits. I have like a face massage, and I have like my LED light and microcurrent, because you got to keep it up from the inside out, and really good skincare, the exfoliating and things. I have to do certain things I do every day for my outer looks, and certain things I do a few times a week. But that's really important, and I think that has helped, because I think if you take pride in the way you look and the way you feel, it will show, and you kind of exude that energy.
yeah, you absolutely begin to shine. That's what happens.
Totally.
You have to. I had a podcast guest on recently who was into micro needling on her face as well. And I thought about
Yes,
looking into that
yeah,
myself. Yes, that
I
good.
do that as well. Yeah.
Do you? Yeah. I said to my wife, I want to have a go at that. She said, well, you shave every day anyway, so you don't need to do that. But
Yeah,
I'll have a
that's
go at it.
natural exfoliation. Yeah, yeah.
It is. It's the same thing. But Kelly, thank you so much for sharing your habits there. I want to ask you, how does someone get hold of you, out more about what you're up to?
So my website is kellybonanno.com, and my last name is a little tricky to spell, Bonanno. I know it'll be in the show notes. And I do offer a free intro coaching session, so I like to get an action step, kind of see where your blocks might be, and get you on your way. And of course I have programs, and I'm in Instagram. I do a lot of Instagram reels rather, doing like little tips on dating and that kind of thing. And then I have my summit that you're going to be speaking on coming up at the end of October. And so that will be a great way for people to, I mean, we've got a bevy of amazing speakers on different topics to help with this exact thing, to make dating a better experience. It's called I Think I Found the One. So we'll have a link to that as well in the show notes.
Absolutely. I'll put that in there and everyone can join in and see what that's all about. So wonderful. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. The time flew by there.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to speaking with you on your summit very, very soon as well. So
Yes.
thank you for joining me. Some great advice there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.